As we know, the super high-rise buildings have made a spurt of a progress of development in Asia in recent 10 years. And Asia is becoming a new center of global super high-rise buildings. The functions and formats of a super high-rise buildings have gradually been diversified, and a complexity in the development process showing a flourishing period of all flowers blossoming together. So for my presentation, I'm going to focus on the current status of the development and a future trend. 4 parts of my talk. First, very brief introduction of the super high-rise complex buildings development of a Greenland group. Second, the analysis in a combination mode of a super high-rise complex buildings formats. Third, the development tendency of the super high-rise complex buildings formats. 4, from the perspective of developers, I would like to talk about the positioning principles of the integration commercial format of such buildings. As we know, Greenland Group is one of the world's largest real estate companies. In 2014, the World Fortune 500 companies, we ranked 268th. In nearly 10 years, the Greenland's super high-rise buildings that in a stage of a built construction design of 300 meters and above high are nearly 20 of them. So we really have a leading advantage. You can look at the current, images of some of the projects that are either being completed already or, under construction. And this is the Nanjing Zifeng Tower with a height of 450 meters, which was already completed construction and launched into operation in 2010. This is a Zhengzhou Qianxi Tower that was completed in 2013 with a height of 280 meters. This is a tower that is going to be launched into operation by the end of this year. This is the Puli Center in Jinan City. This is the Nanchang Central Plaza with a height of 300 meters in the format of dual towers. And this is the Nanchang Zifeng Tower, not Nanjing, the Nanchang Zifeng Tower, which is close to completion with a height of 268 meters. This is a Guangzhou Greenland Center with a height of 200 meters that is already completed construction. This is a project that will be completed construction in 2 years. So this is the Zhengzhou Center Plaza with twin tower design. This is the Wuhan Greenland Center. Actually, the slides were prepared a couple of months ago, for this kind of a project. Now it is under good progress as we speak. This is a Beijing Greenland Center, which is under construction with a height of 260 meters. The second part of my presentation, I'm going to talk about the analysis in a combination mode of super high-rise complex buildings. It really is a mixed-use complex. So today, I will only focus on the uses inside the towers, actually the main formats, which account to over 20% of the total area of the tower.
And hotels and residents, including apartments. I regard apartments as one separate category, one format, and then cross-border products. And there are other affiliated formats as well. For example, shopping malls, observation decks, and art museum, exhibition halls, bookstores, libraries, and so on. And also there are convention centers. They usually don't take up a lot of floor space, but also they have other benefits. But I will not go into details about those affiliated formats in this presentation. So first of all, about the office. The office is the main format in super high buildings. Usually they are expensive and they use a lot of high-end new technologies. And they are basically the synonym for high-grade office buildings. Starting with Empire State Tower or other big skyscrapers, this format has remained unchanged, basically, but they are just becoming more intelligent, and the service is becoming better, and widely accepted standards have taken shape. And usually they have high requirements for the elevators. And also in my slides, I have these different types of projects, including Zifeng in the Twin Tower in Malaysia and in Beijing, we can see they mostly have the core and the exterior structures, and usually the core weighs 12 meters to 15 meters external. And about the vertical transportation, the air lobby and elevators conversion above 250 meters are widely used. They are not really used in less than 200 meters. They're usually for above 250 meters. And the double-deck elevators are rarely used under 300 meters. They are used to enhance the efficiency of the core. But the shuttle elevators may be more suitable for them. And when we look at the elevator configuration, there are many different configurations. They are usually 10 to 15 square meters per person. And the convention is 1,600 kilograms. And according to our experience, the load is around 4,000 to 5,500 square meters per set. And about the air conditioning, these are the main types. The first is VAV. It has high air quality, is comfortable, and is energy efficient. But it's hard to adjust its speed, and it takes a lot of space to keep the facility. And the second type is the conventional primary air fan coil system. It is proven, it's easy to use and install, but the air quality is not as good. And now, for large projects, we are experimenting VAV plus fan coil system. It's a combination, and it has both the strengths and weaknesses of both types of systems. And there is the air-cooled VAV and other configurations, other systems that are being experimented. They may become new trends in future, even though they are not the dominant types on the market. And next, I want to talk about another format, hotels. Hotel appears in the super high-rise buildings in nearly 20 years and is seldom used as a single format. It is a main format in super high buildings, and they have less than 20 years history, and they usually are in combination with office buildings and other types. They have high cost, high asset expenditure, and also high operating cost. So they are usually 5-star hotels or super 5-star hotels. And its features include it usually has efficient use of the floor space. It is usually at the top of the tall building, and it has different combination with the core. From the core to the exterior wall, the distance is usually 12 to 15 meters. For some high-grade hotels, such as Ritz-Carlton, they do not make the rooms deeper. They usually try to just make the rooms wider. So the depth should not be too small or too big. And the construction ratio could be 70 to 75%. And the height of the floor is 2.8 to 3 meters. And in the corridor, it's lower. If it's a super 5-star hotel, we usually make it 2.5 meters. And here are some of the typical projects. They are in combination with office buildings, so they are at the hotels are at the top of the building. They can lead to more economical spaces. For example, World Financial Center in Nanjing Zifeng Tower, and also Dubai Burj Khalifa Tower. They changed the shape of the exterior of the building. And also there are other examples like Jinmao Tower and Guangzhou East Tower and King T100. They use an atrium to solve the space and efficiency issue. The space is very unique, but in terms of firefighting and other things like operation, they have some drawbacks. And actually, for hotels and apartments, we can put them at the top or bottom of the building. The two formats have similar requirements on elevators and have similar traffic. But the hotel has more demand for services than apartments. So if we combine these two formats, it's better to keep the hotels lower, but the apartments higher. But the hotel owners usually want to keep the hotel rooms at the top. There are buildings like Trump Building and Burj Khalifa. They have the apartments at the top and hotels lower. And also, another format is the residence or apartments. They are a new emergent format. They can be operated independently or in combination with hotels, offices, and so on. They're usually high in the building because its combination with the core is similar to the hotels. So you can put them at the high part or low part of the building. It's more flexible. The small depths from the core can lead to smaller rooms, smaller apartments, and for deeper ones, you can also configure them into bigger apartments. And usually the services include fitness, gym, swimming pool, restaurants, laundry, and reception in order to make it more comfortable and premium. And it's similar to hotels. But there are buildings such as the New York 432 Park Avenue. They are typical projects. Their features include that compared with the general residence, they have low efficiency rate and fresh air cannot go through from south to north, and usually the property management fee is high. They are not really the primary habitat of people. They are usually the second home, and they are usually landscapes in downtown areas. And when we look at the projects that have been completed and sold, the residential properties have mostly 1 or 2 bedrooms, and very few of them have 3 bedrooms, and there are very few of them with penthouses, usually except at the top of the building. And for this kind of super tall buildings, they are just one format to diversify the portfolio. For example, in Burj Khalifa and other iconic buildings. And another format is the cross-border products. It's a crossover between residence and office. It has the features as a second home, and it's more for business and socializing than an ordinary home. It has the functions such as meeting rooms and offices and so on. They try to strike a balance between residence and office, and they are usually high in the building. And there are other affiliated formats. The first is very popular, that is the observation deck. It's one of the small formats in super tall buildings. They appeared in the years when office super tall buildings emerged. In the past, observation decks were a good idea because they offer very good view. Like in Taipei 101 and Jinmao Tower, they are very high in the city and they are operated very well. But in ordinary cities, they are not very necessary and lack the practical value, and the operation is not easy, especially for those super tall buildings with hotels at the top. The observation deck is not quite necessary because the hotel already offers the opportunity to view the city, and they can be a good support in an office building. But if there is already a hotel in the building, then the observation deck is actually contradictory to the hotel. And there are other types, other formats such as shopping malls, libraries, bookstores, art museums, and so on. They are more decorative. Essentially, they are extension of commerce or office. And whether they are applicable and useful depends on the specific situation, but they are usually not very profitable. And another format is the convention centers and shopping malls. Sorry, this is the shopping malls and convention centers. They are not closely associated with the office buildings and other functions, other formats. They may have some benefits for the building, but if they are operated well, but if they are not, they may actually make the entire project less premium. So let's look at the combination of different formats. The most typical ones have the office plus hotel, such as the Empire State Building and the Twin Tower in Malaysia and other iconic buildings. And the mainly office type is very popular. And the office plus hotel types include Jinmao Tower and other big buildings. And the third combination is more complex. It's office plus hotel plus apartments plus residence. Usually they appear in buildings that have very high capacity, and they also take into consideration both the sales and leasing. As for some niche markets, like in our group we have the project in Wuhan and also Burj Khalifa in Dubai and other projects. They have this kind of combination. And the fourth combination is hotel plus apartments. It's quite rare up to now. For example, the Trump Tower in US and also in Incheon, South Korea, this tower has this combination. And the next combination is office plus apartments. They are not very widely used. My group has two projects with this model. Well, one is the Dawangjin Tower in Beijing City. It has luxurious apartments and offices. And another is the Baiyun Center in Guangzhou City. It's apartments plus offices. These two projects have very good performance. And the next format is mainly hotels. Usually hotels don't dominate the whole building because, except for some places like in the big cities of gambling like Las Vegas and Macau, where they can have more than 1,000 rooms in a hotel and still get fully occupied. But in other cities, this is not quite possible. But there are exceptions, such as in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia. One is more than 600 meters tall, the other is more than 300 meters, and they are just hotels. And another format, another combination is mainly apartments. This is not popular in China because they don't have very good understanding about this niche market. In other countries, such as in the United States, for example, the New York 432, they are successful. And another format is Soho, which is very rare in China. In South Korea, there are some projects like this. They have like studios. The Soho model is successful there. And now let's look at the trends of these super tall buildings. At the early stage, it was only single function, but now there are more combination of functions. They have different features such as observation, touring, catering, as well as apartments and offices. The main reasons are that there are different needs on the market, and the market segmentation has become different from the past. And if we look at the tower's functions, many have been planned, but not many have been achieved. So they often copy each other during the planning stage. And my suggestion is that don't give one tower more than 3 formats. Otherwise, you'll be very inefficient in organizing the traffic, ventilation, power supply, and the floor usage and operation. And there are other types of formats such as wedding halls, cinemas, and so on, which may lead to threats for fire prevention. And another tendency is that at the early stage, the ownership was by big consortiums, rich families, and state-owned enterprises. But in recent years, in the past, they had to invest hugely into the project, so most businesses could not afford it. But if we look at the history of the United States, there were limited projects like that. But now, a new tendency is the combination of leasing and sales. Like Burj Khalifa has Harry Fatah in Dubai has solved this issue, and this is a new emerging business model. And smaller ownerships become possible. They can still have a bit of ownership in the Super 2 buildings, and they become more approachable for ordinary people. But this combination of sales and rental also have an issue. That is, you need to have very sophisticated property management in future. And another tendency is the property management differentiation. Because of the combination of ownership, there are new model of property management. It is becoming increasingly challenging. So in future, how do we balance the price and the quality of the property management is a big question. And at the early stage, there was usually the single form of property management. But now, because of the sophisticated combination of the building, there are usually one main property manager plus smaller businesses as supplementary property managers. And another trend is the information integration, which can effectively improve management efficiency and reduce manpower cost, which is a very important trend for the future. So I know the 2 other speakers spoke very briefly, so let me spend some extra minutes they gave me. And another trend is specialization and enhancement. There are specialized teams for firefighting and other functions. For example, at the entrance of Jingmao Tower, you probably saw those sniffing dogs and the specialized teams to prevent explosions and attacks. They are very common in different big towers. They make the buildings safer, but meanwhile, they increase the cost of property management.
Fourth, the trend of differentiation. With the increasing quantity of the super high-rise buildings, the development of the level and the price of their property management will also show differentiation. I think that going forward, we're going to have both high-end or mid-range property management requirements, especially among Tier 1 cities with a higher level of a property management fee. But in Tier 2 or lower-tiered cities, sometimes it may not be acceptable. But in any case, I think that good property management level is one of the important reasons for their future value increasing. And this is a very important factor. Make sure that the quality and the level of the property management can be secured and guaranteed. Then the tendency of a single format becoming platform, intelligent and ecological. The future super high-rise complex buildings will gradually develop from the kind of a scarce landmarks to mass production stage. The single iconic feature is difficult to form product differentiation. Therefore, we're going to have to look at 2 aspects. First, how can you open the source? With the development of the mobile internet technology that is evolving very quickly, therefore, this is going to be a great opportunity for the platform-based operation. So with similar level of hardware configuration, how are we able to provide more value-added services under the condition that the hardware configurations are similar? This is a very important competitive area for the future. Second, how can we reduce energy consumption? The high energy consumption and operational cost have been one of the main resistance to the development of the super high-rise buildings. Based on the previous projects, once the super high-rise building is completed construction, then from that point onward, in the next 15 to 20 years, the total operational cost is equal to the initial building cost of the super high-rise in the first place. So if you fail to really attract the tenants and manage it very well, then it's going to be a huge burden. Although there have been definite standards of the LEED certification and the Green Building 3-star certification at present, but whether the energy saving effect matches the investment, the actual effect of energy consumption are still in the development stage. So between the design standards and operational standards, we still have a long way to go. So currently, technology-wise, it is not as mature as we think they are. And finally, from the owner perspective, how are we supposed to have a very good kind of a principle finding, in our planning? So first, we need to make sure that we can have a very good marketing analysis principle. The super high-rise positioning and a format depends on market demands. The development level of different countries and cities determine the main direction of development formats. If the pre-format positioning is unclear, even the design, consultancy, construction units are all the best. The results may not be praised. Second, the scientific and a proper principle. Super high-rise product format is based on the market, but it is also influenced by relevant policies, regulations, and norms. The relevant policies and rules will influence the direction and the characteristics of different product formats. Especially, it may vary from country to country. Let's say, for example, the Zhongnan, tower, like the 70-year, time window for residential property use. This is, regulated by policy. This is unique to Suzhou, but in other parts of this country, sometimes the policies may vary. And third, overall is superior to the local principle. Super high-rise complex format will always be primary or secondary, stemming from the whole perspective. The parts can't be all perfect. The concept that part should obey the whole is important. Otherwise, partial perfection will sacrifice a whole benefit. As we know, we have hotels, we have office, we have retail, commerce, and also residential functions. So for different managerial parties or the users, they may have different requirements. How can we harmonize among different stakeholders so that we can achieve a perfect matching among different parties involved? 4. Simplify complex issues principle. In complex integrated body, combined with a number of considerations such as format division, hold, and cell proportion on good formats, only by simplifying the complex design and a format can it be possible to ensure the rationalization and a justification.